Magpie, Jackie here with my first layout for August 2024 using Shimelle's Reason to Smile. This video is going to be extra long for me today because I want to show you the process of where I ended up changing everything around. I could have cut it all out, but I thought I'd leave it in. So here I am, just going through the products that I'm going to be using, mainly the 6x8 paper pad from Shimelle. So I first started by choosing the Distress Oxide ink tumble glass, and I thought, oh, I'll just run it roughly down the side and the background paper just to add it a layer to the pattern papers that I was thinking of doing. Then I went through the 6x8 pad and selected some various pattern papers I wanted to use, and I end up trimming a few of them down to size, well, you know, trimming them in half, should I say, and then adding border punches to two of the pieces. I think I add border punch to the pink one that's just on your left hand side now, using the circle chain punch that's available in the shop, and I also added a border punch on that green checked one there, using a notebook punch. So I've just cut all my papers down, trimmed them down, and kept them the full length, but just trimmed them down. And I thought, I've got that blue as the base ink on the background. I'm just going to add an extra line to make it a bit longer and a bit wider. So that was my main idea. And then I thought, oh, I'll add a this what's it called, mask, not mask, stencil, and I used mustard seed. Still thinking it's a good idea with what I'm using, so I add some of the design to the top right and some to a small design to the bottom left. Again, putting the papers back and still thinking it's a good idea, and then I think, no, don't like it. It just doesn't look right with the pink tones of the papers. So let's go to number 2. Let's get a number 2 piece of white cardstock and start again. So this is where I just think, all right, I'll just add the yellow mask stencil, and this is a stencil from my stash, and I don't know what it's called. It's one of my older stencils again, so I've put it in the same places that I did on the previous cardstock, and I thought, oh yes, it's promising. So then I start to assemble my strips of paper. So like I said, I've torn down the edge of some of them, and I've border punched some of them, and I think one of them I've kept just a straight, you know, cut lines. So basically this is how it's going to end up, hopefully, on my paper. I'm still happy with the pop of yellow on the background, so I decide to use the brushstroke stamp set from Hey Little Magpie and use the Lost Shadow, which is just a pale grey. Just adding, again, just to add some more detail to the cardstock on the background. So I did a couple of paces. You'll see here it doesn't stamp properly. It does get covered over, but I do go ahead and re-stamp it again shortly. So I'm still thinking, yes, this is fine. I'm liking it how it's turning out. So I've stamped it in there. I've just stamped it again. So I've stamped it in 3 or 4 places on the background, just so that it just peeps behind the strips of pattern paper. So there's where I've used the border punch, the circle chain punch that's available in the shop, and then I've used one of my notebook punches, EK Success notebook punches, to punch the green checked one. So again, I'm thinking, yes, this is fine. I'll add some using the direction stamp set. I'll add some of these long strips of arrows going down the page, and I've decided to use Shabby Shutter. All the time still thinking, yes, this is a lovely design. I'm getting there. I'm getting some build up of the cardstock without adding extra pattern papers behind my photograph, but by layering all of these different stamp designs, I get an extra build up of layers. So just adding 2 strips there down the bottom, and then again jiggling around to see which order there's going to be in. So I decided to stick these strips of papers together, just trim the edge off that to just make it a bit shorter. And then I realised I didn't distress them all, so I end up distressing them before I actually stick them onto the cardstock. Now, if you watch my videos, you know that I do take a long time to stick papers down to the actual cardstock, which I'm so glad I did with this one, because I end up doing a third background. So here I'm still messing around with the second background, and because I'd made the pattern papers a bit wider, I just needed to add 2 more lines of these arrows on the right hand side, so you could just see them peeping through. Then I decide to, what am I doing? Oh yeah, so I back my photograph here with some pattern paper from the 6x8 paper pad, and then I didn't do a full background of a 3x4 photograph. I just used an offcut, so I put a pink one to the right hand side, and I used an art one that's covered with art and stars on the left hand side, just slightly offset for each other. And then I also add some foam back into the back of the photograph to give it some definition. So then I'll just cut this down to size, just so it's just a small piece on the left hand side, and distress the edges. So like I said, I kept all this in so you could see my process, and that sometimes layouts don't come easy. So I decide again, I'm still thinking, yes, this is great. I'm going to use, I think it's the Coffee Stain stamp set from Hey Little Magpie, and I'm going to use Quiche Flamingo, thinking, oh yes, I've got the pink now element into it, and just use one of the small stamps, and dot it around the area of the where the photo strips are going to be, which look nice but still didn't feel right for this layout. And then I was going to put my photograph over the top, still not happy with it, trying to figure out what it is that's missing, or what have I done wrong, or what can I add to it. Then I decide, right, no, let's start again. I had some foam to the back of the my photograph, which is 3x4, just so to add some dimension to my page. And then I thought, right, start again with the stamping. So I use the Distress Grid. Yes, I use one from the Distress Grid. And then I thought, well, the majority of the colours in the papers are pink, so stick to pinks. So I'm just marking around where I want the background to be, the ink background to be, and going back to using Quiche from Flamingo. Yes, Quiche Flamingo. I used one of the grid stamps and just stamped around the background. Then I wanted to have just a pop of colour, so I used the little circle elements using Shabby Shutter again, that are with the which one are they? Within the direction stamp set, and added those around the page. You only can see them slightly peeping through. Then using one of the script words, background words, and the Lost Shadow ink, and not using a stamping block, I just added some of the script words around that area. And I'm so happy with this background now. So it's very subtle, but the colours are there. I used the Shabby Shutter colour because of the green in the photograph, the green of the grass in the photograph, but I didn't want it to be too green, so it's a quite nice soft green to use. Now I've decided that I want to add some of these large directional arrows. So I'm stamping onto some A4 white cardstock from my stash. Cut them down, leaving a small border. As you can see, I stamped 4 because the first one didn't stamp correctly. So I've just stamped 4 and I've cut them down and I just used 3. And basically this is how my design is going to appear. So I'm so much happier with how it's ended up. So behind each of these large stamped directional arrows, I've just added some foam pads to the background, to the back. So again, giving those a bit more dimension. I think I stick it down. I think I stick no, before I do that, yes. So before I do that, I add around the page this circle stamp that's from the life captured, and it does say life captured. So I just have it 3 or 4 points, I think, round the circle, round the base of that block of ink design. Still using the Quiche Flamingo ink pad, distressed ink. So now it's time for me to stick this strip of paper down over the ink pieces, lining it up. I've just rubbing out the pencil lines. I did put some pencil lines so I knew how far I wanted the ink to go. Then add my photograph over those mat of strips of paper. And then to the left, I'm going to add those large arrows. But before I do that, I realise that to the right, that right side of the paper is very stark. It has got those arrows, but there's nothing underneath. So I just wanted to break up the background a bit. So I went back to my script background stamps using the soft shadow, and again without the ink pad. Without the ink block, I just added some of the scripty words around it. So it just gives it a bit of a distressed look underneath the where the arrows are going to be. And with using the lost shadow, it's not as harsh. It's just a very subtle distressed look to the background. So I'm so happy where that is now. Remove the foam pads and just add them across the page. Now to use my the sticker book pattern, sticker book stickers around the page. I've just, as I do normally, punch out 3 circles and add them to 3 spots around the page, and then just go through the sticker sheets and just see what I can add to each of these areas. So I did cut this label down, but I'd only end up using a small piece of it underneath my photograph just to document the day and where we were. And then I go through and I find 3 cameras, which I add again 3D form to the back. I found some flowers which I've used as we was outside anyway. We were in the garden, and they're going to my 3 cluster points along round the page. I'm not sure if I cut some of them in half. I don't think I did this one. I think I just put them straight down. So this layout did take me a long time to put together. I think it's with having the 2 previous backgrounds that I wasn't happy with. It just took that extra long time to sort it all out. And then I've found there were some rainbows, which I wanted to add. So I've just added them near the cameras. And then some word strips. So the top word strip is this for real? And the bottom 2 says you and me and sunny days. I've added the one, is this for real, because we're in Florida, and we, even though, you know, it's one of our dreams for us both to go there, we still couldn't believe that we were there. We were, you know, actually, this photograph, we were waiting to take us to one of the parks, waiting for the bus to come and take us to one of the parks. So we just couldn't, you know, couldn't believe it was real. Then I went through and I thought, oh, it still looks a bit bland on the right hand side, so I'm going to use some wood. So I got the sunglasses, the small set of the sunglasses, and adding them to the top left of the photograph, and then I've added the word Wanderlust over the arrow in the middle of the arrow ones as my title. You will see in a minute where I add a arrow at the bottom, and I even stick it down. It does end up coming off because I just didn't like it where it was positioned, so it does end up coming off. And then I have to try to think of what... So after I'd finished that, I thought my layout's finished, and then I thought, no, it's not finished yet. I need to sort something else out. I still wasn't happy with it. So I do add that arrow to the bottom, but it does end up coming off. So now I've gone back through my stash and I found a wax seal that I've done that's got a camera on. And also I picked out a few of the flare badges. I only end up using one flare badge down the bottom that says Embrace Life, that I just put down in the bottom left cluster. Can't think of anything else to put on. And again, stop it up. So they're putting where I've put the photographs, the wax seals and the flare badge. And I also added some enamel dots again from my stash. Then thinking I'd finished, realised I hadn't. So to try and break up the whiteness of the cardstock, I'd cut out a piece at the bottom and a piece at the top, and added 2 strips of pattern paper. So I've used the green checked for the bottom layer, and I've used a pink from the 6x8 pad to the top cut out piece. And I think that's where I've ended up. I'll just stick it down at the back, and I think that's my final thing for this layout. And look at the original one and look at the photograph at the video playing. Oh, I just distressed the edges a bit more so that it ties in with the distressed papers around the pattern paper. Thank you for sticking with me with this extra long video. Here are a few close-ups. Please like and subscribe to our channel. If you have any comments, please leave them below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll be back later in the month with another layout using Reason to Smile by Shimelle. Thank you.